What's up, Pop Culture Universe? We are back with another episode review of What If. This is episode 7. This episode is called What If Thor Were an Only Child? So there's two of us today reviewing this episode. My name is Bogz with my girl Sol today. How are you today, Sol?
Doing good. Ready to talk this episode. Probably my least favorite episode of What If so far. Not to break anyone's hearts out there.
Yeah, so quick summary. Basically, I did have fun with some of the things. Some of the action stuff was okay, but overall, yeah, it wasn't the strongest. Yeah, it was probably my least favorite. Although I didn't hate it. It was like less, not as impactful as the other episodes. But yeah, anything else you want to add before we get into the episode?
I think some people, like Darcy, we were talking about this before, like Darcy, who's super funny in the MCU, her jokes didn't come across well in this. But then I found Loki to be actually pretty funny in the episode, and I enjoyed his bits. So the humor, some points was a hit or miss throughout this episode. There wasn't really much consistency with that.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's as if Thor never learnt to be a good hero because if he was an only child, so he was obviously grown up differently, and he's kind of basically throws an out of control party, like an intergalactic party on Earth, basically. Um, I felt like it was quite light-hearted the whole episode, and from the kind of what if stories, from it was quite different as well from anything else that we've seen, where we've seen, like a Captain America replacement story, or the Doctor Strange story. It was a different take on that, or the zombies. What if zombies in the MCU, that kind of thing. And then so this was like a less responsible, more immature version of Thor, as if he was a party boy. So I guess that's super lighthearted, even me describing it like that. So and with that, there's tons of cameos in it. I thought were kind of fun. So Nebula, Howard the Duck, the Grandmaster, Korg, Drax, and all the people at the parties and stuff, and they're all having these parties because of it. So, what do you first of all think of the seeing all these cameos, parties and stuff, and hearing the kind of beginning of the story where he's a lot more immature, and the whole thing's lighthearted, and he's not the same hero Thor as what we see in the previous movie.
Yeah, if you look at previous episodes, each of them had a pretty big stakes in them, and where this one I felt like there was no stakes. It was just Thor having a huge party. And so it was kind of cool to see all the different cameos. You're like, oh, that person's from this movie, or there's this person and that person. So it was cool to see like some of the background characters being added in, and the fact that they would go to a huge party on Earth. So they actively decided, like, hey, party time, let's go. And so that was kind of funny to watch and fun to watch and pick out all those little cameos. But pretty much it was very low stakes, very low key, just Thor having a huge party. And I guess we'll get into it, but Shield overreacting to Thor having a huge party, in my opinion.
Yeah, so obviously there were, all these kind of heroes and people with abilities having this party, like damaging Earth and different cities and stuff. So I guess they kind of considered it like an alien invasion.
Mm.
Yeah, and they kind of, I was waiting for the episode to go dark, or like to have a villain come in, and it kind of never really happened. Um, and yeah, so like there was no real danger consequence thing. Uh, you know,
Antagonist.
yeah,
Mm.
no great wonder with What If. I think the Watcher, this is probably the least he was in it, and I'm kind of not surprised where, because there wasn't kind of massive stakes as you're saying there, and yeah, as we say in the Thor's parties, getting out of hand, where we see Jane Foster kind of being the key, and the kind of one who reaches out to Thor's mum, to kind of bring her in to kind of play and to stop the partying. I feel like I'm talking about a teenage, like high
Yeah.
school like, thingy movie.
Like
Um,
a house party, gotta go call your
right,
mom to stop
exactly,
it.
yeah. And it's surprisingly it is Natalie Portman. So yeah, surprisingly it is Natalie Portman. I did, watching it, I had no clue that was her. I mean, it sounded completely different to me. I don't know if anyone else thought like that, but it almost, yeah, it was like I was getting distracted, thinking, "Oh, is it her? Is it not her?" So that was slightly weird. But then we see that Captain Marvel comes to the kind of aid of Shield and trying to calm the party down, and then uh, she's referred to as the party pooper, which so I guess they tried to villainize her a little bit, which I thought was kind of funny because obviously there's this kind of whole like internet movement against her a little bit.
Mm,
So I think that was like real life, you know, MCU Marvel trying to be maybe clever there with the calling her a party pooper so many times and things like that. So I thought that was a clever kind of real life tie in there. But what about you? Was there thoughts about Jane involvement in the story and any other the characters and obviously Captain Marvel coming in? Because I thought the best part of the episode was her fight scene with Thor. The two or
yeah,
three fight scenes
definitely.
that they had, seeing that animation, back and forth, with kind of Milnor and seeing her powers against his, and the jokes with them. That was fun. It was fun. It wasn't. It was just like like I said, they were just fun scenes, like dumb fun almost, but kind of cool seeing them going back and forth as well.
Yeah, the best parts was definitely the fighting between Captain Marvel and Thor because these are two such powerful beings going against each other. So that was fun to watch. I also not only the Easter eggs of all the different cameos, but also the Easter eggs of famous landmarks all throughout the world. So you have them using the arch in St. Louis and they're going to use it like a boomerang. Loki and the other ice giants. You
Hmm.
have the Leaning Tower of Pisa when they're fixing everything back, they actually straightened the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So I thought that was like a little funny moment in that. And also the Stonehenge just completely knocking that down. So I'm sure uh, real life people who
Offended,
love
yeah,
Stonehenge
offended.
was probably like offended there in that moment. But so those were fun. Jane did not really seem like her character much. She was a kind of different person in this episode where she very much like when you think of Jane in the MCU, she's smart, she's capable, like she's very much like one track with her science and then ends up falling in love with Thor where it really seemed like oh she just saw this beautiful guy. There was even that like moment of like she sees him and it's slow mo and his hair flowing back and it was kind of like very shallow of her and Thor getting together in the episode, and I thought that was very out of character for Jane Foster. And the fact too that she had to go to his mom to like stop the party, so that really was like okay, we're dealing with very childlike Thor in this episode.
Yeah, literally, and because she even saying like, "Oh, I'm a genius," and she's like, "Yeah, but you're also beautiful too." Like, just there kind of flirt. I did find that funny, like the immature flirting, um, and yeah, like her and like going to the mother. Yeah, again, I didn't absolutely love it, but I found it all fun. And then she's kind of flying back, and they have to clean up like everything, like again, like a teenage, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something like that. So
Yeah.
or Risky Business. So very like throwback to like 80s like high school movies and stuff. But I think that was a representation of Thor's immaturity. Like this is the level of he's at. So, but overall, like I said, I thought it was fun. Um, at times, funny. I thought Thor, Chris Hemsworth was, he was fine. He was a bit maybe too jokey all the time. It was like constant
Mm,
joke after joke. But overall, I did kind of enjoy it. Not the most thought provoking or interesting episode ever. Picked up my phone a few times, check the time or like, just quickly scroll through and think, oh, what am I doing? Like, yeah. So, yeah, nowhere near as interesting as the other episodes. Probably put it last in my overall ranking. Um, and yeah, I'm not going to rush back to watch this, but although there was some funny stuff in it, so overall I'll probably give it a 6. Not the most compelling, not a bad episode, but I did enjoy some parts. But how about you? Overall thoughts and a ranking?
yeah, like I said at the top, the humor very hit and miss in this. We've also said there's really not an antagonist. It's very much just a we're having a huge party and here's some cameos of other MCU characters and some like landmarks around the world. And so in that it was a very interesting episode for me. There's little moments here and there where like I might have like chuckled a little bit, or I was like, oh, that's a good joke. Where most of the jokes weren't landing, and I was like, oh, well, that one landed. Like kind of for me, I did like seeing Loki as a giant frost giant. Like that was pretty funny, and it's him holding the phone too, and how little it was when he was talking to Jane on the phone. I liked that moment, but overall, I'd rank this last for all the what if episodes and probably give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, it felt like a mid-season filler a little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah, so we did get like a weird, like almost ended on a happy ending. The episode did, which was quite surprising for the whole kind of what if series. And then there's kind of quick villain reveal at the end, but based on the whole episode, it was just like for the literally the last second. It was a bit like so what kind of thing. So because we might
yeah,
not get a part two for this, we might not get it till season two. So yeah, it was a little strange episode, but fun nonetheless. I felt. But yeah, anyway, what do you guys think? Whoever's watching, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. What are your thoughts on this episode? Any predictions moving forward? Of course, are we going to see a part two? Who is that at the end? Let's hear your thoughts on that. But yeah, check you guys on the next episode of What